Hi, and welcome back to LearnVisualFoxPro.com. In this video, I want to take you through the process of creating a simple Visual FoxPro application. I've been given some thought to what kind of an application I could develop, and I've been pretty busy. Also, I've been kind of sick with the flu, so I've not fleshed out all the details of this application, but we'll just build as we go along. What I have in mind to do is to create a simple issue tracking system. So we're going to do a simple issues tracking. So to get started, we'll just go ahead and create a new folder. And within this folder, I'm going to create some other subfolders for the application. Create a data folder, and I want a forms, any reports that we may create. We can have PRGs. And this is just to keep things organized. For this application, this may be a bit overboard, but anyway, let's get going. So we'll set default to C lesson 5. And what we're going to do is create a project called issue track. And what we want to do is we're going to set our path to access all the folders that we just created. Okay. So we got data reports, forms, and PRGs. So to do that, we simply say set path to data. We'll assume that we're working from the current folder: reports, menus, PRGs, and is there another? I have menus. So that will take care of our application finding the various files that we'll be creating and be putting in these respective folders. Okay, so for this, of course, we'll be working with the project manager, and we have gone through a video on this before. So the first thing we're going to do, what we'll be doing essentially is we have this fictitious company, and we'll be tracking customer information or client information, and also we'll be tracking client issues. So a client calls in and says, "Oh, I'm having a problem with XYZ," or "I'm having a problem with a specific product that we sell." We'll simply create the mechanism for an operator to log that issue, for it to be assigned to a staff member, and for the details of the issues to be entered, and when it's resolved, what the resolution is, and so forth. Again, we'll be keeping it simple. I will not be building a product database. That could be something for another version, so we're going to make it pretty open-ended. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to set up our database. So we click on the database tab, and we will be working with databases, not free tables. And I'll go ahead and I'll put that under the data folder, and we'll call this, let's call one customers. Actually, we'll call it issue track, which is the same name. This will be the name of the database, and then within the database, we'll create tables. So new table here, and we're going to have a customers table, and we'll just have an ID, make that an integer. In fact, we'll use the auto increment field, so that will just automatically count for us. We'll start from the number 5010. And then we're going to track company. Okay, so company, contact name, an address, and phone 1, phone 2. If we think of anything else, we'll just simply add it to the table. So that's it for the fields for the customer. What we want to do is to create an index on the ID. This is a surrogate key, and this will allow us to simply track unique customers in our table. So I want to make an index out of this. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to make this a candidate. I could make it a primary key, which it is a primary key. A candidate is another key that can become a primary key if you know about database terminologies. I tend to use candidate because when I go to rebuild an index, there is no clause for me to specify primary. I can always specify candidate from the command window. I find that primary can only be specified from within the table designer, so I tend to go with the candidate and leave it there. And I could say, put a filter on this no, in fact, that's okay. So click OK, and then our next table, we want, we're going to have staff, so we'll create a new table here called staff, which essentially is a user table. So we'll have an ID as well, and we'll go integer and let that auto increment as well. Username 10, full name, and security level. And we'll just make that an integer. And yeah, that should be it. Let's create an index on this as well. And we'll make this a candidate. And we'll create one more table, which will be the issues table to track issues reported by customers. Unique ID, and we can start this with a very large number. We can start this at 10, 5, 10, 8, 0, 0, 1. And so we want to track the date that the issue was entered. So we'll make that a date type. We'll give it a title, and we'll want staff ID. Actually, we'll just set assigned to. We'll make this an integer. This will actually store the ID of the staff member that will take care of this issue. What else we want? We want a status. And we'll make this a numeric. It will be let's make it 2 digits. It'll either be 1 or 2. 1 being open, 2 being closed. So we're going to keep it very simple. And what else is there? We have some details. We'll make this a memo field so you can type as much as you want, and we'll have a resolution field as well. You can type as much as you want for the resolution. Okay, again, if we can think of anything else, we'll come back and modify the table. So we'll make this another candidate. And by doing this, Visual FoxPro will automatically check for us that we don't have duplicate IDs. But again, because we're using the auto increment field or type, that should not be an issue. Okay, so we have what I think are the 3 main tables. And so what I'm going to do is to all right, let's close this for now, and let's go over to our code. And what we'll do is create the main application. And you can put in stuff such as date and what date is it today? If you're into this sort of stuff. Okay, so the main PRG will of course be the application or the main program file that fires off our application and basically sets the environment for our application. And I wanted to get to this just to basically outline the template. And so what we want to do, some of the things we want to do is to set up the working environment, or I should say the application environment. Set up any menus that we may have, and call login form, if any, and then we want to start the what is called as the read event. Now, if you're new to Fox, you'll be seeing this, or you may be seeing this for the first time. Now, in the old days, writing event-driven application in FoxPro was quite challenging, and we had something called Foundation Read. Visual FoxPro gave us a leg up by introducing the read event command, and what that basically does is create an event loop, and which basically tells Visual FoxPro to sit and wait until you issue a clear event. So it will wait and allow you to access menus and run forms, and ultimately hide the command window and any other thing that is that's kind of native to Visual FoxPro itself, and basically allow your application to just sit and wait for responses from the user until we give the instruction to exit the application. So this we can go ahead and enter here. So we'll say read event, and then we want to do some cleanup here. I'm going to write a little procedure in here, which I'll come back to. Let me call this cleanup. So up here, the setup environment. First, what I want to do is I want to maximize the Visual FoxPro window when the application starts. So right now, my development window is maximized. I can demaximize it and show it windowed. So your application could probably start like this, and what we can do, we can actually force it to always start instead of the normal view, which is what this is. We can say always start in the maximized view. So to do that, I'll use the screen, and I'll go window state equal, and I get some IntelliSense here, 2. So I want it maximized all the time. We can set the caption for application. We can, so that's the, okay. What else we want to do? We want to do some set talk off. We want to set deleted on, so that hides deleted records. We want to set exclusive off. This is the first step in writing a multi-user application. It's to set exclusive off. We never want to use tables exclusively off the bat unless you're doing special processing. So we turn exclusive off, and we can set the date type that we want to work with. Set date to MDY. That's month, day, year format. And okay, so we'll clear the screen, and I tend to like to set, and I'll put this up here, the background of my application to be gray, just to keep in line with other Windows applications. So I'll say back color is equal to, I'll use RGB function, and I'll go 120, 128, 128, 128. Okay. Why 128? Experience. Okay. Now, if you choose, you could also use the color picker and just get a number and assign it. RGB will take all of this and give me a number which I assign to the back color. So this is 128 red intensity, green 128, and blue the same, and that will give us a nice gray. Or we could go 192 as well. Okay, so then we don't have the menu yet, which I will create. So what we're going to do is say do main menu MPR. Know that I'm writing this using just standard FoxPro. I'm not doing. It's not going to be completely object oriented. There are other ways to do this by creating an application object that would take care of starting the putting up the menu and all that. But for now, we're just doing it procedurally. Okay. So, and I will have a login form. I won't put that there yet. So all I'll have is this. And then for cleanup, clear screen, we can reset the screen background to back color, that is to white. And we can definitely reset the menu, set sys menu to default. And if I think of anything else here, we can do that. In this procedure, in fact, what we want to do is here we want to put an on shutdown command. On shutdown, we want to do cleanup, which is this procedure down here. The on shutdown command traps the event. If the user clicks on the X here, then we know that they wish to exit FoxPro. or they may choose to exit using the file or menu file exit when we do put that in place. So on shutdown says, okay, call this routine before you do anything. And so we will go here. So what we want to do in here is to put a clear events, and then if there are any windows open, we're going to cycle through all those windows and close them. So to do that, I would say I'll use a for loop for x is equal to 1 to screen forms or form count. That will give me the number of forms. This variable returns the number of forms you have open currently, so we can just cycle through and simply release the forms. So what we'll do here is say screen again using forms. And this is an array object, and I'll just refer to screen form count. And we'll call the release method on the form. So put some notes here. Stop event processing. Close all open forms before exiting. Okay. Now there may be some bugs in here, and actually I'm hoping that there are some bugs, so I can show you the Visual FoxPro debugger. So we'll close this for now, and let's save it. And we'll save that in the PRG folder, and we'll call that main. So what we're going to do is to go ahead and at least create the menu for now, the menu system for now, so at least can run the application and see what it looks like. And we looked at the menu designer before. So what we're going to do is to I want some of the behaviors, like I want the edit default edit behavior in my menu as well, and I want the Windows default behavior in my menu as well. So I'm going to have Visual FoxPro just copy these defaults into my menu, and then I'll take out the ones that I don't want. So I'll go menu designer, and I will say quick menu, and here I get the default system menu. So if I preview this, it would look no different from the system one, but this is actually my menu that's running right now. Okay, so help will keep tools. What's in tools? Tools we don't need. I'm going to take that one out and delete. View. What's in here? Toolbars. Okay, what I want to show you here, I'd probably just say status bar. Show you how to turn the status bar on or off. Status bar. And we'll make this a procedure. And we'll take this text out. Okay, shows, hides. Status. Okay, go back up. And program we don't need. Okay, edit we do want to keep, but we want to remove some of the stuff. So we have undo, redo, cut, paste. Paste special won't work for our application. Clear, select all. Find may not work in our application. We may have to we'd have to implement our own find. We'll take the rest of these guys out. Okay. So let's preview. So now we have a trimmed edit. We have view. We have status bar. Oh, window is a bit. Okay, so we got to trim the window. We're going to trim the file menu as well. So let's go back up and go into window. Cascade we may want. Arrange all. Dockable. Hide all. I'm not sure we want to mess with these guys. Clear. Cycle. Maybe. Okay, we'll leave those. And the rest we'll take out. Okay, let's go to File. And File has a bunch of stuff that, let's see. In fact, we're going to implement our, excuse me. Okay, so we're going to take out a bunch of these. So what we want clients, or we call them customers, right? So customers, and we want to look at the issues. And then we basically want to exit. Okay, print, we could do something with, okay, I'll leave it in there for now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. And exit, of course, we'll change these from bars because I'll be writing our own routines for these. So I'll make this a command, and make this a command. And I'll come back to print. Exit, we can create. Exit is simple. It's simply clear events. And we may want to call the cleanup routine. So we want to say do cleanup in main. So we can actually call a subroutine, a procedure or function that is defined in a program file elsewhere. Okay, so when we clear events from the exit menu, it's not the same as clicking on the shutdown. So the cleanup is not called automatically. So we want to clear events and say do cleanup. In fact, we could just simply say do cleanup because within cleanup there is a clear events instruction already. So in fact, we can take all of this. I'm going to cut and paste here. Control X is not working. Okay, I'll cut it this way. And we can just change this to a command, and we can put it right here. Okay. So if we preview, we have customers, issues, edit new. In fact, I want to add one more item here, and menu bar we want to insert probably okay, so now we have file, admin, and this we'll use to manage, create new staff, members, and help, need some help. Okay, we'll come back and fill in some of these other stuff later on. So we reduce the help, and that looks fairly okay. We'll worry about the icons later on as well. So we're going to save this. I'm going to save this in the menus, and this is called main menu. And what we're going to do is to generate the code. We'll just generate this menu right now. We generate. Okay. So we've got our menu. So if we were to run our app, modify. If we were to run our app, everything should work. And let's hope clear cleanups work, and I don't have to use brute force on this thing. Okay, so let's run this, and we got an error there. Okay, so that's fine. Let's cancel, and in fact the command should be do cleanup, and I'll just put in main here just to be on the safe side. Okay, so let's run again, and here we have, if I close this, we have our nice gray background, and of course then we have a menu that we created, which is a shorter version. We have all the edit stuff here. Edit, nothing is applicable right now, so all these are disabled. We have staff, but no event is being wired up to these menu options. Of course, we have the toolbar here, which is not appropriate, so we'll okay. So notice that when I click on the close, it did not close Visual FoxPro. It simply ended the application by calling my my cleanup routine. So let's try that again. And if I were to go File, Exit, I did wire this up, so that also worked. Okay, so perfect. So what we can do, let's open the project, and what we can do is turn off the we can hide the toolbar window, and in fact we can show it here. Show window standard. Let me just test this in the command window and make sure it's the right thing. Hide. Okay, perfect. And then show brings it back. Wonderful. Okay, so we put it here in the code to hide it. So if I Control E, in fact, what we can do is clear and do close all. So this will close any open screens or databases or anything that we have. And in fact, I'm going to clear all as well. Clear all clears memory and frees up any cached code that we have. So that's probably good to have in there. So let's Control Enter Save, and if I run this again, it should close the project window for me as well. So there, our application is running. The status bar, of course, is on by default, and what we can do is add the code to turn that on or off. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll exit the application. Okay, so we go back to our project, and we go here. We modify this, and what we need to do for the view is to make sure that it has a name. Okay, so the pad name, because I need this, is MSM_view, and that's fine. What we want to do is to give this bar a number so that I can track it. So I'll just call it bar 1. I'll make it 10. It doesn't matter. Okay, and you'll see exactly why I did this. Let me just show you quickly. So we go procedure, and what we want to do is to turn the status bar on or off. If it's on, turn it off. So this is actually going to work like a toggle. And so what we'll do is if, and I can check using the set command, the status of the status bar, and we'll say status bar, close bracket. If it's equal to on, then what I want to do is to set status bar off, and I'm going to set mark off bar 10 off ms view to false. I'll explain that in a bit. Actually, I'll show it to you. So okay, close that out. Let me just verify that. In fact, what I want to do is to in fact, I need to make reference to this bar, to this menu level, underscore mview. So let's go back in and change that. Of course, the case doesn't matter, so that's fine. So we'll close, we'll actually generate, save, yes, overwrite, close, and again we'll run the application. Notice that the event loop is firing, so when the event loop is on, the command window does not show, and we have, where it's waiting for events from the menus. And if I go, well, status bar is on right now, so we're not seeing the effects of all the other stuff. So let's turn it back on, and let me show you. So when the status bar is on, that command that I had about set mark, what I can do, because this operates like a toggle, I'm actually putting a check on the menu option to show that yes, the status bar is on. And when I click it, the status bar goes off, of course, and then I remove the mark to say that the status bar is no longer on. So on, check mark is there, off, check mark is gone. So let's exit, go back and look at that very quickly. So for the view, we needed the pad name, the menu pad name, and in here we said we check the status. If it's on, then what we wanted to do was to turn it off and to set the mark that we saw appearing, the check mark, and that is why we assigned the bar number 10, so we can refer to it in code. And then if the mark is true, then if .t dot, it will show a mark, otherwise it doesn't show one. So you can check that out. And so probably what we want to do, given that the status bar, let's cancel, the status bar is on by default, we want to, let's just take this out and put it in our code, in the main application. And so we turn the status bar on, and then we set mark off. In fact, this needs to happen after the menu. Okay, so where do we go next? So what we can do, what I want to look at, let's see how long we've been on this now. Yeah, it's been 40 minutes already. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop here. So we've created the database and created the tables, in our database: customers, issues, and staff. And we looked at creating the main code that will drive the application. We looked at creating the menus, and we looked at a little bit of event wiring up for the menu. What we're going to do in the next lesson is to create the staff management screen that will allow us to enter staff members' name and their security level. Then we'll look at creating the logon screen, then the customer screen, and finally the issue tracking screen. And we'll also look at how we can restrict access to the menus depending on the user level, which are in our case it's the staff. So this is part one of the lesson. This may take up to about 5 videos. Not exactly sure. So stay tuned for part 2.